Well, welcome back, everyone. You know, they say it's 3 times the charm, right? So Mayor Yepsen here tried 3 times to get the state of the city address done. What happened?
Delivered, yes.
That's right.
It was signed, sealed, and delivered finally last Saturday at 1 o'clock in the city center. We had a few snowstorms.
Yeah, we sure did. If you take a look outside our window, you can see a prime example of what this snow looks like. First, welcome, Mayor. Really
Thank
great
you.
to have you and to check in with you. After the State of the City address, we talked to Mayor Yepsen, and there's a couple of things about the way she approaches government that I find very refreshing and I find really interesting. So we're going to just touch on a couple of these things, and we are going to have you back for Beyond the Headlines so you can get more in depth on some of the key issues this year. But one thing that we always notice is that you like to tackle the big initiatives. You've got a vision for the city. And you spoke a bit about this in the address, but tell me about it. How does that feel?
It feels great. It feels forward-thinking, which is exactly what I think people elected me to do.
Yeah.
We are appreciating our past always and thinking about what made us successful and how we got here. But including the community in building the future is what I'm mostly focused on.
Boy, it sure is. Transparency is another thing that we feel. When we listen to you address people, or certainly when we do the city council meetings, the way you give everybody time to get their opinions heard. What does that transparency in government really mean to you?
Well, I think it's respect of the public, number one. So that's first. So yes, you respect the public. Their voices matter. Doesn't matter who you are, your voice matters. I feel like I also want to be a leader, a voice for the voiceless. So giving people empowerment to be involved in the governmental process is very important to me. I've started 15 new committees and boards. And although some may joke that she's going to be known as the mayor of committees, I don't like bureaucracy. I like democracy. So what this allows is for people who really want to be involved in a certain theme or topic or area of interest to be involved and be involved in the governmental process through a committee that interests them greatly. So I'm really proud of the way our tentacles have reached out into the community in a very broad way, getting more and more people involved. 40% of our population has moved here in the last 10 years.
Wow.
And people want to live here because of the quality of life. So we don't want to wreck that. We want to only improve on that. And getting people involved is the way to do that. So city council meetings is one way. Committees is another way. I depend on the media, like yourself, a great deal for transparency purposes. If I'm working on something, I want the public to know about it. And if I'm taking a position on something, I want the public to know about it. So the media is a very important way for me to do that. I've also set up open office hours every other week, and people can come in during that period of time with no appointment, and we just sit and chat. Some of the best ideas, most innovative, exciting ideas that I've gotten have come through those meetings.
Boy, I bet. There are times when, people feel very passionate in this city. You always notice that. And again, when we review the city council meetings, these people come in with an opinion. And it's difficult to balance. They may not know what the existing law is. They may not know what a zoning law is in existence. That was easy for me to say. Is in existence, and you have certain guidelines that you need to follow. So if you have the transparency, people get heard.
You do, and part of my job too is education as much as I can. So when people make comments, it gives me a sense, it gives me a pulse on the community.
Yeah.
And that's what mayors are for. We have a pulse on our community. The federal elected officials don't necessarily have that. Even the state elected officials don't have that. But I go to the grocery store, and it may take me 4 hours to get through the store because everybody wants to talk to me about their ideas or what they don't like or what they do like. And that helps guide me to figure out, wow, people really aren't understanding this issue. I think we need to do a public charrette on that.
Oh, you mentioned the public charrettes. I've been involved in a few of those in my career. You're planning on doing more of those, right?
I am.
Yeah.
So here we are celebrating our 100th anniversary as a city, but I'm again looking forward to the next century and where do we want to go from here. So we're planning a whole series called Imagine Saratoga, the next century, and it will be public charrettes, meaning people can come in to an an open forum sort of arrangement. There'll be some moderators, perhaps some experts in that field that can help guide us in the discussion. But it'll be everything from creative economy and creating a master arts plan to how can we better develop in a sustainable way South Broadway and make it a real gateway to our community that we can be proud of. There's so many issues. Seniors have issues they want to talk about. We have housing issues that we need to address. We're ending veterans' homelessness this year under my leadership, and I'm going to need a housing task force in order to do that. So maybe the task force, for instance, would have a charrette to get the public involved in the housing discussion.
Well, you know what? You're really making that statement I made about a visionary real easy. You certainly are. You're talking about the next century, and you're talking about all the key issues. You know, I just want to, before we talk about maybe some things you'd like to accomplish this year that are on the top of mind, Vet Help is an amazing initiative that you've undertaken. You might recall, because we've been having a lot of people in with regard to this subject of protecting the veterans and giving them a leg up and giving them the assistance they need. But that was a campaign promise that you made, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Working with veterans has been a very personal and professional goal of mine.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to know a lot of veterans who are having a terrific trouble after coming back from serving our country. And if anybody shouldn't be homeless, it's somebody who has served our country. So I'm very passionate about this issue, and all the regional mayors in the Capital District have also signed the pledge.
Nice.
So we're working together as a coalition with HUD, and now my new positive relationship with the Housing Authority in Saratoga Springs is going to help tremendously. Give us that vision of how we can work together to end veterans' homelessness and then tackle some other populations, like young professionals, artists. How can we get them to stay here, to help us develop our creative economy, and give them a place to live that isn't an outrageously priced condo?
Well, really, hats off to you. You know, the Vet Help people were in, I think it was last week, and something just stuck in my head. They said, we spend millions of dollars to get them overseas. What do we do when they return home again? And boy, that's just been resonating for a week in my head, you know.
That's
hey,
really good.
2015, hard to believe. Just kind of quickly, got a couple of initiatives that you're focused on?
Absolutely, and the Centennial is giving us a great backdrop to do that, right? So we'll be celebrating all year with very special events to mark our history and to mark some special events that have occurred in our history, like the first City Council meeting. We're going to reenact that. That's going to be fun. And we're also giving it an opportunity to look ahead. So my goal is to build neighborhoods, and to do it with the city, and to do it with the residents. So building neighborhoods, making placemakings. Placemakings is an opportunity to have a special place in your community that draws people, and it improves the quality of life. So it could be an urban park, it could be a special artist district, it could be an interesting public space to have an event, a farmer's market. And we have many of those, but we need to preserve them and enhance them and connect them, because millennials want a walkable, bikeable city.
Right.
We got the Geyser Road Trail money, $1.6 million. That was one of the biggest accomplishments, I believe, of our administration in 2014. That's going to connect, when it's built, it's a multi-use trail, 22% of our city population to downtown. Biking, walking, and having that, that health aspect in there, but also just it's a way of life that people want to live, the new urbanism.
That's right.
So focusing on downtown, focusing on walkability, focusing on connecting our special places will be a huge priority of mine.
Well then, you know what, I'm going to sum it up by saying, in this era, everybody's interested in the quantity of life. You certainly have this vision for the quality of life. And really, hats off to you, because it is, in a city like Saratoga especially, that sometimes feels like it has no bounds. It's important to remember the fundamentals, and the fundamentals are neighborhood. They are quality of life for all age groups and opportunity. So, boy, that's great. Boy, I look forward to having you come back again.
I would love to. We have a very diverse population, so
Yeah, we
we
sure do.
certainly want to pay attention to that and try to accommodate all.
Good. Joanne, Mayor Yepsen, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you.
And we look forward to having you as a guest on Beyond the Headlines, so you can get more in depth on comprehensive plan and Greenbelt and some of the other issues that we're reporting on.
Great.
Okay, great. Thank you. To see this interview again, head to our website, looktvonline.com.